So many people were struck by Donald Trump at a rally last night when he saw fit to do what George Bush and Dick Cheney never saw fit to do, and Trump has hinted at this before, that we should be stealing Iraqi oil, that we would have actually, remember the line with blood for oil? Trump was like, apparently heard that, and he was like, that's right. We're going to take their oil. And then, while making his argument that we should have taken the Iraqi oil, he decided to throw U.S. servicemen in Iraq under the Trump bus.
Remember this. When we got out, we should have taken the oil. I'll never forget some of the pundits. Most of them, they don't have the brains they were born with. They said, they're talking about a sovereign country, Iraq. Crooked as hell. How about bringing baskets of money, millions and millions of dollars, and handing it out? I want to know, who are the soldiers that had that job? Because I think they're living very well right now, whoever they may be.
He says he's never had a drink.
Yeah,
he sounds drunk.
I mean,
to me.
The notion, and some of the writing about it, they're like, as Politico put it, Trump has painted himself as a champion of soldiers and veterans, and it's unusual for American politicians on the campaign trail to call out members of the military. Yeah, for stealing money in Iraq. Right. Yeah, I mean, but of course, it's not unusual for Donald Trump. It was part of this one insane thing after another, but it largely began with I like people who don't get captured. Yeah. I mean, that's and John McCain, who was, as we talk about a lot, there were moments in this man's life when we thought this could be a real statesman. He's never going to be president, but his obit is going to talk about how he was a man of great courage, and that it won't happen. I mean, if anyone now should be, who should come out against this, it should be McCain, who goes, yeah, you know what? I'm still pissed about the other thing, and I'm done with this guy. Yeah. And I'm done with...
Yeah, and Trump said this. This was not the first time he even said this. He said this in New Hampshire in September.
Really? About soldiers stealing the money?
Soldiers stealing the money. It made it seem more like he was talking about Iraqi soldiers when he said it in Keene, New Hampshire on the 30th
his
of
campaign
September.
here said he was talking about Iraqi soldiers, but the context of us taking the Iraqi oil doesn't make it sound like that at all. New Republic, whatever the logic of Trump's statement, it's very unusual for a presidential candidate to malign war veterans. Yes, it is.
By the way, I love the whatever the logic. Yeah, you're going to have to look pretty hard to find any. I heard it as being about the Iraqi soldiers. And look, I love to bash Trump. People say that I'm completely irrational when it comes to it. But
the
I did think
Iraqi soldiers didn't hand out the money. We handed out the money.
Didn't they? Didn't we give it to tribal
leaders?
No,
we handed out the money.
This is what he said on September 30th in Keene, New Hampshire. When Obama says we're leaving Iraq on a certain date, these Iraqi soldiers that comprised ISIS, they didn't want to fight for Iraq because Iraq was a corrupt government. $50 million in cash. I want to know, who were the soldiers that are carrying cash of $50 million cash? How stupid are we? Cash. I wouldn't be surprised if the cash didn't get there. I have to be honest.
Oh, no, but if the cash didn't get there, that means then
US
it's soldiers.
Right. That's spelled C-A-C-H-E here, but yes, that does imply
He's
U.S.
talking about
soldiers.
U.S. soldiers. And by the way,
I don't think he uses the word C-A-C-H-E.
Here's what
that's,
he said
Ben's
cash
right. This makes me think Ben's more right.
Yeah, he's talking about U.S. soldiers. And by the way, some of our soldiers, there was corruption. Some of them did take money. Yeah. There's no question. But you don't impugn all the soldiers, who were in charge of the money, let alone all soldiers there. But Trump has this ability to speak to veterans like that because he so bravely served in Vietnam.
Well, but you have to remember that this is also a guy who raises large amounts of money for the soldiers and then gives it to them months later once he's called out for not doing so. 5
deferments in Vietnam, and a bullshit story about how, I remember watching my number came in and it was a high number and I was so relieved and I was at Wharton. Okay, that's just his memory playing with him. Maybe he wasn't at Wharton when his number came up like that, but the whole thing is nonsense. That was his final deferment that he's talking about when his number came in. He'd already gotten 4 deferments and he'd already been classified 1Y, which is what we now know as 4F, because of a foot. Because of his left foot was too big.
And it's ridiculous. Why lie about your foot when you could just tell us that they found that your hands weren't big enough to grasp a rifle's barrel, and no one would doubt you?
He didn't want to serve in Vietnam because he didn't want to get shot.
President Obama's grandfather served in World War II, like your grandfather did, like your father.
My father did. Yeah.
There's 6,000 Muslims in the U.S. military right now, approximately, and not one single member of the Trump family has ever served in the armed forces.